Welcome. My name is Paul. I am 41 years old. Still live in New York. I wanted to welcome you on my channel, Coming to Texas. I also have a blog if you're interested, comingtotexas.com. And you could also find me on TikTok, which is coming to number 2 Texas is the hashtag. I'm here to kind of introduce myself and tell you guys in this first video why me, my wife, have decided to take our kids and the rest of our family and move from New York to Texas. So I currently have a blog online, like I said before, and I have a first post in there which explains exactly that. And I want to kind of get into that a little bit. I'm going to be looking down a little bit into that blog. I'm trying to talk. But there's some things here that I need to mention that I have to look at because there are numbers of some bills and things like that. So we have both lived in New York for over 20 years now. We've been living on Long Island, which is the easternmost part of New York. And we liked it here. We liked it here for all this time. We probably would be staying here if it wouldn't be for all the craziness that's been going on with the virus and schooling, and New York wanted to implement some bills affecting our parent authority over our kids and affecting our kids and their health and things like that. So let me just read a part of my post just to explain real quick what the major issues were to made us to have influenced us to make that decision and decide to go to Texas and move the whole family over. So New York has been a home for me and my wife for more than half of our lives, and probably still would be, like I said. We also feel that we don't really fit in New York anymore. I feel people in New York, and that's not everybody, but most people in New York have been swayed to be easily controlled by the New York government and are basically doing everything they're told, even with the data that has come out so far. If they're told to mask up, they mask up. I mean, over 90% of the people here, if you go to a store or I go to a deli in the morning sometimes and things like that, everybody's masked up to their everywhere. I'm most likely usually the only one or two people that are in that area with no mask on. If they're told to stay home for lockdowns and things like that, they stay home. I'll be honest with you, if there was another lockdown in New York, I think most people would just stay home and they would listen to the governor, they would listen to the government, and they would just stay home. There are some people that are breakaways here, but I was able to notice how different, how much of a smaller number here in New York the let's say Republicans are compared to the Democrats. So there was a race for governor not too long ago. There was a Republican which had a lot of good views for New York, and I thought he had a chance to win. Unfortunately, he lost probably 80% of the vote to 20% of the vote. It was not even close. During the campaign, it looked like it might be close. There was a lot of people in Long Island that voted for him, but not much. So you can think I'm a weird guy, but after the initial chaos and after looking at the actual data, I see how wrong all this stuff is that the Biden administration is doing and illegally trying to implement over the whole country. I see how information about this virus has been manipulated, politicized, and misrepresented, to say the least. All of this and more, which I will mention in a second, has crossed a certain line for me. Many are afraid to the point they don't even want to leave their homes. I personally know a few people like that, as I do some stone repair work on the sides, on the side for and go to people's homes. So I mentioned in my blog that I visited a woman recently and did a repair for her countertop. And she was on the phone with one of her family members. So she was talking to her family member, all masked up with me in the house, afraid. She was fully vaccinated and boosted. She had a mask on. She was afraid to leave the house. She was saying to her family member that she can't afford to get sick. And she refuses to leave her home unless it's absolutely necessary. She keeps living in fear. I don't want to live in fear, and I want to do everything I possibly can to protect our children from living in fear. I will not let them live in fear, period. We're done with that. So schools in New York are trying to push critical race theory. A lot of people know what that is. Some people don't know. I'm not going to get into the specifics right now. If you want to find out exactly what it is, just do a little research. I would not recommend Google search engine. You're not going to get the accurate information because they filter info the way they want to. I would go to DuckDuckGo and then search in there. So there was an instant where my friend's daughter, who was 7 years old, was told to try to change calling her parents as dad and mom. Instead, she was told to try to call them just parent, which is genderless. So that's the kind of thing that they're pushing in New York to New York school kids. There are laws being talked about in New York, proposed and possibly soon to be voted on, that want to restrict parental consent on vaccinations and kids' medical decisions. One proposed bill was supposed to give sole authority to the governor of New York to imprison and lock up anyone she deems a risk to public health. I said she because it's Kathy Hochul right now. If it's a man, it's going to be he. That kind of a decision would be strictly the governor's call, without the need of a judge, a warrant, a court order, or anything like that. That's a police state, if you ask me. I don't want to be here for that. Supposedly they're not voting on it because there was too much of backlash from people that found out about it. But I don't know exactly what the status of it is. If someone wants to say that I'm lying here, then here are actually some links to those bills on the New York Senate website. I'm not going to give you, I am going to put the links into the video so you can check them out, but I'll give you the bill numbers and give you a very short description of what they stand for. So three main proposed bills that I'm very disturbed by are: Bill A822 provides treatment, and text of the bill, if you go into the text of the bill, it says vaccinations as preventable treatment. So that's vaccinations as well. They don't tell you that right in the beginning because a lot of people are lazy and they just won't read. So it provides treatment for sexually transmitted diseases to minors without parental consent. That's disturbing. Bill A8378 requires immunization for COVID-19 to attend school. Otherwise, your child cannot attend school. Bill A416, that's the one I was talking about before, allows the governor to imprison anyone they consider a threat to public health without trial. Also, there's a bill proposed by the New York Assembly member, Patrick Burke, who's introducing a bill soon that will allow insurance companies to deny coverage for treatment of COVID-19 sick patients if they have not been vaccinated. That is simply cruel, immoral, and unconstitutional in every way. This kind of thinking and behavior is un-American, to say the least, and I'm literally afraid to stay in New York with my children. I'm in the park and it's crazy windy here, so don't mind the wind if you hear it. I want to make one thing clear. I'm not anti-vaccination. I am pro-choice and pro-freedom. Our kids are 2 years old. They have their vaccinations up to whatever they're supposed to have them right now. If you want to wear a mask, go ahead. That's your choice to do. If you like to get the vaccination, go ahead. I'm not going to tell you anything and have nothing against it because that should be your choice to make. That's why we want to move to Texas. because except for a few bad apples, freedom and liberty is what good old Texas stands for. Freedom, protecting life, personal choice, and allowing me to make the decisions that will impact my children and not the government doing it for me. Me and my wife are both 41 years old and have twin 2-year-old daughters. I also take care of my 70-year-old mom, 70-year-old father, and a 91-year-old grandmother. My father is very, very sick. He lost both of his legs due to diabetes, has serious heart issues, congestive heart failure, is legally blind because of diabetic retinopathy, and is on dialysis 3 times per week because he has end-stage kidney failure, kidney disease. We decided to move from New York, but as a son, my conscience will not allow me to leave my parents here in New York because they need me. The major reason for our decision to move are, of course, our kids. We want them safe and healthy. As parents, we want to be making the decision on whatever affects their health and do not want to share that with the New York governor. We want our children to get a good education, learn to be respectful to others, accepting and helpful. We want them to have a nice home to live in, which we would not be able to afford in New York. Even though house prices are much lower in Texas than New York, it's still going to be a challenge for me. I don't make $100,000 a year. I'm a regular blue-collar man that works hard and wants to support his family. I do know that it will not be enough for me, even in Texas, to make less than or around $40,000 a year to be able to give my family the life I would like to give them. I have worked many manual labor jobs in my life, advanced to estimating jobs in marble and granite, sales, and handling high-profile clients. Let me tell you that most marble and granite fabricators and such are small companies that just can't go over a certain pay threshold, no matter how good of an employee you are, because they simply can't afford it. By now, I have developed many other skills on my own, such as I can do web design, I run social media accounts for clients, social media marketing, AutoCAD work, and video creations, and others. I know deep in my heart I will have a fresh start in Texas and will do everything possible to work in one of those fields and make more money for my children so they can have a future that I never had. My parents have made many bad financial decisions in their life. They have nothing to give me or help me with financially. They are left without savings and totally dependent on me, except for some retirement money they receive, which is not that much. That's why I know they will not survive without me, and that is why they're coming with us to Texas. To make such a big move, it takes a lot of resources, great timing, and many things and preparation. There's a lot I need to get done and set up even before we schedule the trip to move. I can't move everyone at once. This has to go in 2 trips. The first, I'm going to have to rent a U-Haul and drive it 1,600 miles myself with my car hooked up in the back and my wife and the kids driving behind me. 1,600 miles. That is going to be a 3-day drive with 2 2-year-old kids. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. I know it is a lot, and a lot of people depend on me. My wife and kids depend on me. My parents and my grandmother does as well. I'm in a position in which I simply cannot fail. Am I afraid? Yes, of course I am. I am moving my whole family across 1,600 miles to a completely different state which we never lived in. I have my kids' future in my hands, and that is priceless to me. I know that if I fail, their lives are affected in a negative way. It cannot happen. I know that achieving success in anything is hard to do just on your own. I know that most times help from someone else is required. I'm not asking for money here, as I think it is not right because everyone works hard for their money. All I'm simply asking for is that if anyone in Texas, and I'm going to be just north of Dallas, would like to help me with finding a job, offering me a position to work, so I can I can promise you, you will not be disappointed. I'm an honest man, hardworking, and will try to help your company grow in any way I can. All I need in return is loyalty, as I will be loyal to the company. You see, my wife worked for a company called Kravet in New York. She worked there for 17 years. And as soon as she had our twins and COVID-19 started, they simply told her she was not needed any longer and fired her. They used the situation to downsize and didn't care much for their longtime employee. She was a great worker as well. She worked in many supervising positions there in showrooms in New York City and flew all over the country as well for the company. The decision that she made to stop traveling and start a family with me and have kids cost her that job because even with her skills, she was not as useful to them as previously. We value our time with our children. We value our time with our families. And all we ask for is that it would be respected by a company that we work for. That's all. Many times people just forget about their families and spend too much time working, and they are surprised they can't connect with their kids. They miss their childhood and their family is falling apart. I don't want that. I believe in hard work. I believe in helping to grow a company I work for as much as possible. But after work, I also believe in spending quality time with my family, and that will always be my number one priority. For a potential future employer of mine, I just want to say this. Because I care about my family so much, I will be able to passionately work for your company because it will affect you and me both. The better the results of my work, the better the life of my kids and family will be. So I don't think you would be able to find someone with greater and more genuine motivation to be successful. I know that some people are always ready to help financially because they have money and just don't have time to do anything else. That is precisely why I have a donate button at the top of my blog for you to do just that. If you'd like to donate and help out with our move or a purchase of our new home soon, please feel free to do so by going to that page where you can donate in many different ways. I will post a link to my blog in the description of this video. Thank you for watching the video, my first. I hope you will be curious about our journey and will come back for more. I also hope you will subscribe to this channel and join me and help me out and support me and my family so we can grow this and we can get this done the right way. Thank you for watching, and I will be back with you soon.